Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mel and Wally Show. I'm Mel.
Bonjour, I'm Wally.
On this podcast, we talk about whatever the hell we want.
Because we can. Please enjoy, subscribe, like, and follow. Do all the things.
All right, welcome to a very special episode of the Mel and Wally Show. We have a very special guest this episode.
I'm ready.
The special guest this episode is Kristen Bones. How are you, Kristen?
I'm excellent, hot, but good.
How did your run go?
It was so hot today, man. I was going to try to go farther than 5 and I cut it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I barely ever run, so.
I'm asthmatic, so
running in the heat is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love it.
And you said you have asthma?
Yeah, I'm severely asthmatic.
Oh, that must be even more difficult.
You train yourself. I've
Yeah.
run 4 or 5 half marathons now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's
amazing.
how many I've done before my knee started thing up and dying on me. So
Yeah,
I miss it so much. Now I can do like a 5K, but I can't do the half marathons anymore. It's so sad.
How long are
Yeah.
half marathons?
21.1 kilometers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much fun, Wally.
How long are full marathons then?
42.2.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm going to do one next year.
Oh,
It's like my waist size.
Only
that's amazing.
Unless I'm in drag, then I'm very skinny. All right, so I think we should get into some not so fun topics. Kristen's doing a 38-day challenge for her mom who passed away when she was 38 from a drunk driving accident, and she wasn't the one that was drunk, so it was very horrible, I can imagine. Do you mind going into how you heard about it and what happened when you found out?
So it was on June 30th was the last day that I spoke with her. I always made sure I called her in the morning before when she got to work, in the afternoon when I got home from school, and before she left for work. So I had called her to say goodbye. We were going to go, there's a festival in Windsor called the Freedom Fest.
Yep.
And it's to celebrate July 1st, Canada Day. And I was going to go with her and her boyfriend, but I decided no, I was going to go with my friends. So we went, and I slept over at my friend's house. And I remember I remember laying there and people trying to wake me up, and I'm not a morning person, and I was getting mad. And then I remember looking at everybody, and my 3 girlfriends who were in one bed, I was on the floor. They were just looking at me, and everybody was looking at me and said, "Your mother was killed." And I said to them, "No, she wasn't." And I didn't believe them until I looked at my best friend's dad, who was a farmer, and he was crying, and I knew that it was real. I don't remember leaving the house. I don't remember where I went after that. I think I went to my grandparents' house, but I just didn't want to believe it. The next day, on July 1st, she was killed at 12:50 a.m. It actually turns out her boyfriend was the one that was driving, and he was drunk. They lost control of the car. It spun out and hit a concrete staircase, and she died instantly, so she didn't suffer. They found him wandering outside of the car. So what they did was they rushed into the hospital because he had a broken jaw. So they didn't do a blood alcohol level on him because he had to go for emergency surgery. So 2 hours later, they did a blood test on him and found that he was just over at that point. So in the 80s, there was no, you got caught, you got a slap on the wrist. So he got no jail time. My family never spoke of it after that. My best friend back home, she even said to me, "It was never spoken of. You were always told to be kept quiet about it." So for 32 years, I haven't really spoken about it. I've put it out there, but this year I decided, when I saw that woman that was killed in Brampton with her 3 daughters, that's when it really hit me. This has to stop. A 20-year-old gets in a car what are we teaching our children? What are we going to teach our children? That it's okay, like we're teaching our children to be indestructible. I think we're teaching them to not have that compassion. We're teaching them that they're indestructible, that they can do anything and they're not going to be harmed. And that's when I realized I have to stop this. This isn't going to be the only thing that I'm doing. So today was the day of her funeral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a rough day.
Yeah, I didn't remember until a girlfriend of mine sent me the clippings, and the newspaper clippings were all, the crash is going to be investigated. It's going to be investigated. After the last clipping said that the crash is going to be investigated, that was all that was ever spoken about. It was never talked about again. He never got jail time. My sister and I, about a year later, called him and forgave him. I believed my mom raised us to forgive, and you have to forgive. And I think that's also what I want to try to get out there, that we hold so much anger in our hearts towards people. And I think the only healing process for you is to forgive and make a change, and not to hold grudges and anger towards those people. They have to live in their own jail for the rest of their life knowing what they did. He has to wake up every morning for the rest of his entire life knowing that he took a mother away from two girls. It's all we knew. We were moved from family member to family member for 3 years, and then I went on my own.
Wow. So you were on your own at like 15?
Yeah.
Or 6? Wow.
15. Yeah. Which is crazy because, you're a kid, you're 12 years old, you've got everything you could. I've got a great mom, an awesome sister, amazing friends. I played sports. You had everything in front of you, and it just all got taken away. Like 2 weeks after, I think it was 2 weeks after my mom died, we had to go into the house and pick what we wanted to keep. I'm 12 years old. I wanted everything, I was mad at everybody. I just felt anger towards everyone that whispered about it or felt sorry for you. I got mad, and it took me a very long time to realize that that anger was hurt.
Yeah.
So I just want to spread the word. I don't want to raise money. I find that when people raise money and you ask for money, people just hand it to you, and then that's all that's ever spoken about. They don't follow, they don't pay attention. When you start to raise awareness and you start to speak your story is when people start to realize. But it's got to stop. It has to stop, man.
Well, and that's like an amazing story. Like, it's tragic, but it's everything you've been through and what you've done with your life afterwards is crazy. Like, I can't even imagine going through that at such a young age. How long do you think after that were you I guess able to be back to normal, or do you think you ever were? Like, how did you deal with all that? Did you go to therapy or anything like that?
I saw throughout my life 8 therapists. I don't think you fully ever recover from that. I don't think that your life ever goes back to the way that it was. I think you make the life what you want it to be. I think it took me, I'm going to be honest with you, like from the age of 12 to 18, I did a lot of stuff. I became an alcoholic. I did drugs. I got mixed up with some of the wrong people. And at 18 years old, I had this epiphany where it was like, what am I doing? Like, is this what my mother would want me to do? Does she want me to be this? Or should I be a voice? Should I be strong? And I think at 18 years old was when I realized, I gotta smarten up. I gotta stop this. See, when I turned 18, we got money from her death. I got a lot of money from her death, and I spent it in a year. And people thought I was crazy, but to me, I called it blood money. It was blood money from something that was someone that was taken away from me. I didn't want it, And
Yeah.
at 18 years old, when you get that much money and you never had money, you just party.
Yeah.
And I partied.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a mom now, and Melissa, I know you as a mom, I think that we need to teach our children at such a young age how important it is to not get high and drive, to not drink and drive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I think we need to start, you know, when I heard it was that 20-year-old kid that got in a car, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Use your head. Understand the severity. It's not about your own life, it's about somebody else's life.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
that woman who had her children and her father killed years ago.
I'm in one of the mom groups.
Oh,
Oh,
Melly first.
it's not a becoming photo.
Like an exorcist. So when you were at like you got into drugs and alcohol yourself, you said, were you ever like nervous that something like that could happen with you? Like if you were in the car, or did you ever were you very safe with like not driving under the influence
No,
at
I
all?
was stupid. I got into a car once, and a guy had been drinking. I didn't know. And we were at the Kinmount Fair, and we got pulled over by the OPP, and he blew just over,
Hmm.
where they suspended his license for 24 hours. And we had to walk back, and I thought, like, I got really mad because
Hmm.
I didn't know that he was drinking. I wasn't walking around the fair with him. And I remember I had asked him if he had anything to drink, and he said he had a beer. So that was that was a real shocker to me, knowing that I got into a car
Hmm.
and somebody was drinking and the OPP pulled him over. But then I thought, he just got caught for drinking and driving, and you took his license away for 24 hours and he got it back.
Right.
That's not a lesson,
No.
you know? And
Mhm.
I know that our laws need to be a stiffer penalty, but I may be the only one in the world. Is it really jail that they need?
Right.
Or is it rehabilitation? Because I think if you drink and you drive, you have a problem. You
Right.
have a medical issue that you don't realize that it's not okay. And
Right.
I think putting
Mhm.
people in jail, like that girl that was just recently, 4 years ago, she killed a cyclist. She got caught for drinking and driving, killed a cyclist, got 4 years in jail, spent half of that time in jail, and she just recently got caught again, driving
Actually,
intoxicated without a license. So did that jail time change her life? It didn't.
Right.
no.
So I think that we really need to step back and take a look at the law. Like my uncle back in the 80s, he got caught. I don't even know how many times he got caught drinking and driving. He got caught so many times, and they just put him in rehab, and he would get caught again and get caught again. I know a guy that got caught drinking and driving 9 times. They took his
Wow.
license away for 10 years. He should never get his license back again. You know, how many times do you get caught before they make a change?
Right.
And it
Mhm.
seems like our government doesn't want to push this law. They just want the next person. Hey, guess what? We have another statistic. We have another statistic. This has to stop.
Yeah. Well, that's like crazy that they don't take it as seriously. It's like they're not only affecting the lives of the person that is drinking and driving, but like literally anyone else on the road could be hurt, or
Yep.
even if they're like on the sidewalk potentially if they drive. It's just
Yep.
not. Yeah, I can't. I have a lot of things that need to like that are really near to dear to my heart that need to change about the laws and government, and that's like one of the
Ugh.
biggest ones because I just don't understand
Mhm.
how you can allow someone to make that decision and basically ruin so many other lives and not just their
Yep.
own.
I won't even
Yeah.
have one drink and get into a car.
Yeah.
I won't. And my son, who's 12 years old, he won't. Like he knows the importance of it.
Mm,
At 12 years old, if at 12 years old you understand it, how can a 20-year-old not understand it?
right. And
You
even
know?
older, like there's so many older people that like it's not just a young person issue, you know what I mean? Like anyone can make that
I saw
decision.
it. We're up at a cottage and I saw it. They got into a car, into a truck with a baby, you know?
Wow.
And it's like I feel that okay, like and I'll be honest, I'm one of the people where I'm on the highway and think, wow, that person's drunk. Yeah, but I'm gonna call the authorities, and what are they gonna do?
Right.
They need a specific I don't know. It's like they need a specific number where you could call, and they're on the highways like that,
Right.
you know,
There should.
because
I
they
think
think,
that's a great idea. There should be like patrol cars like along the highways just in case.
yeah, because if you then you can call that number and say, I just saw this car, blah blah blah, license plate is this. They're swerving in and out of the road.
Mhm.
But there's a couple times where my boyfriend and I've been driving, and he's like, "Oh, you should phone," and I say to him, "But I'm gonna phone and what? Give them their license number, and then what's gonna happen?"
Right.
You know, you need to feel safe and secure on the roads. And I'll be honest with you, every single time I get in the car, I always make sure I tell my son I love him. I always make sure I say goodbye just in case,
Oh,
because you just never know.
yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I said it to my mom
Yeah.
every single day. I told her bye and I love you, because in my heart, I think I knew that she wasn't going to be around forever. And I think it's important. It's so important. I tell my son that all the time, you know, and maybe it's a hard lesson for a 12-year-old, but I just don't want him to make those stupid decisions, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I don't think. I mean, I don't think it's like one of those lessons where you have to wait until they're a certain age. I think it's great to teach that kind of
Yeah.
lesson at a young age because you never know when the kid is gonna like start experimenting or anything. So you want to make sure that they're gonna be safe.
Yeah, because I started drinking at
Mhm.
young age. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard. I look at my son. This is a hard year for me, and my 3 girlfriends that were there when they were, that, you know, I never realized that they were such a big part of it because they were there when they found out. And one of her, my girlfriend's, her daughter's 12 too. So, and the house that I found out my mom, when I was in the house when I found my mom was killed, it just got torn down. So the 4 of us have just been super emotional. And having a
Yeah.
12-year-old myself, I look at my son every day and think, like, how did I do that
Right.
at that
Yeah.
age?
I was gonna ask you because I knew that he was 12 or like around there.
Yeah.
Like, how is that for you now?
Really hard.
Like,
It's really hard.
mhm.
It's harder for me. When I was 38, when I turned 38, I'm 44 now. I thought, God, I can't wait for this year just to pass.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was hard. But
But-
looking at my son who's 12 and, you know, thinking to myself, my God, like, I just can't imagine him not growing up without me.
Yeah.
And all I knew was my mom. I didn't know anybody else. I saw my dad twice a year, you know, and
Mhm.
we were moved there for 3 months and we had to leave. And then we moved with my grandparents for a year and a half and we had to leave. And then we moved with my aunt for a year and we had to leave. So it was, you know, all of a sudden this person who loved you
Yeah.
was taken and you just didn't feel that love again. And that's what I miss, you know?
Mhm.
You don't get that mom hug. You don't get that where she was at the hospital when my son was born. Sorry, but it's
No.
you know, the other day, I never in my life did I ever feel this way. I just wanted to talk to her. You know, it's one of the
Mhm.
hardest things you've ever had to deal with in your life, and it does teach you though to be strong, and it teaches you to deal with what comes. And the hard part though is that when somebody around me has lost somebody, I don't know if I feel that compassion anymore. You know, you kind of lose it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had a loss like yours, but I do understand that because I have lost a lot of people over the years, very close together and very close family members, including my dad.
Yeah.
And now when other people lose somebody, I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's sad, but I don't have the same reaction as other people.
No,
And then
like
I feel bad that I'm not reacting
yeah,
the way that
100%.
like,
Because I know I
yeah.
say to people, why can't they just get over it? You know, like, come on. You knew it was
Mm.
going to happen. Or if I know somebody knew that their family member was going to die, well, like, just get over it. You know, like it's hard. You do have that feeling where you feel sad for them, and you know, and you wish that it didn't happen for them, but it's not the feeling that you would normally have when you lose somebody close to you like your dad, you know.
Yeah.
I
I
guess it's like
just
kind of hardens you too to it. Like I
oh,
have not lost
yeah.
anyone like extremely close to me. So I'm also a crybaby, so I like throughout this whole call I've been like crying randomly. But I can't imagine that happening, and like because I'm very much empathetic, and I'm an empath, so I every time I hear someone losing anyone or getting like bullied or anything like that, I like feel so strongly about it. So I can't imagine not having that feeling. Like that must be crazy. And like, do you feel any guilt over that at all? Like, not.
I do. Like when I'll be honest with you, when that Mizuno guy, when he killed that family, and you know, I feel bad, but I just kept thinking, like, why is she reacting that way? Why is she, you know, like, why is she so angry towards him? Why does she hate him so much? Look at him. He feels bad. Like, it's crazy that I want to protect
Right.
the person that did it and not protect the victim.
Mhm.
You know, I always want to believe that there's good in people, and I always want to believe that that they feel bad. But, you know, I think it's just, I don't know. And I felt bad feeling that way, but I just don't know why I felt that way towards that. It's different. My attitude has changed towards it now 100%. I just don't know if jail time is what is going to fix it.
Right.
You know, I feel that people that have killed people in drinking and driving should be put into a facility where they have to do community service and be around the community and let them know. And it's almost like public shaming, you know, instead of, oh, okay, you know what? We're going to put you in jail. You're going to get 3 square meals a day. You're going to have a nice, well, not a nice bed, but you're going to have this facility, you know, where you can still watch TV, you can still do art if you like, or you can still read books. But that person that you took their family away, they are not going to get to do that anymore because you took that away from them. And those memories is what's going to trigger it. No, so is jail the right thing to do? I don't know. I don't know. But obviously what they're doing now is not working.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I did this. It wasn't to raise money, it was to raise awareness. And, you know, maybe I can change one person that decides that they're not going to do it. And I know I've done something right, but I am determined. Like, a friend of mine was killed by a drunk driver a few years ago, Carla Groton. She had just gotten her hair done. She was very excited. She was going downtown to see her daughter's art show. And she was walking across the street, and the guy smoked her. And she flew, I think they said 17 feet. It was just before Christmas. She has a severely autistic son and a daughter, Haley. And their world changed. Gone. She was gone. You know, she was like my age. She was a beautiful human being, and she was just taken. He hit her and just kept driving. And they arrested him down here. And that was at Birch Mountain Kingston Road.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was so drunk that when he got out of the car, he couldn't even stand. And you know what? She became a statistic. And because we don't talk about it anymore. Guess what? I have no idea what happened to that guy either, because it's not spoken about anymore. You know, that woman who lost her life and her 3 beautiful children, what happened about it? It's not spoken about. Not too many people even know about it when I talk to them about it.
I didn't know about it until right now.
You know what I mean? Because it's pushed under the rug. In the 80s and the 90s, we were taught to not talk about it. Keep your mouth quiet. Don't speak about it. Well, it's changed now. We're in the 2000s, and we need to speak about it. We need to yell about it. We need people to understand the severity of it.
Oh, for sure.
I just don't get it. But I'm going to make a change. I'm determined. I'm going to make a change.
Yeah, Mad started in the 1980s, or Mad Canada started in 1989.
Yeah, I think though they need to do a Victims Against Drunk Driving.
Agreed.
I think that these times, calling it Mothers Against Drunk Driving, I think we need to change it. I think it's the victims that need to change it. You know, we're victims. We don't want to be victims, but we are. I'm a victim of drinking and driving. Everyone that has had somebody that has been killed or injured in drinking and driving, they're victims. We're silenced. You know, we need to start speaking. I belong to there's this group. I've never been to a meeting because I've never had enough nerve to go to a meeting, because I just feel, well, mine isn't that important. You know, that's the way you think about it. And I talked to this woman, Carolyn Swanson. She's a beautiful woman, very nice. She does meetings for people that are suffering from being a victim for drinking and driving. She's just an incredible human. But going to a meeting and talking about it is great, but it's not making a change.
Right.
You know, I think people need to be vocal about it, get it out there. You know, and I think when people start to raise money, you say, oh, I'm raising money for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And they say, yeah, here's $10. And then they never hear about it. They don't want to think about it. But when you say, listen, I'm raising awareness. Can you do this for me? All I want you to do is just post my post for 38 days. I have people contacting me from other places that are like, you know what? You've inspired me. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. My sister said there was only one negative comment so far. And it was a guy that did a drinking and driving commercial for MAD. And he made a comment that the reason why I hashtagged MAD was just to get likes. Whatever.
Well, it's also like you want the post to be seen for a reason.
Yeah, I'm not doing it for likes. Yeah. Or if I was doing it for likes, come on. Like, I'm doing this to raise awareness. And I said to my sister, you know, I wish I would have seen that, because I wouldn't have been mad at his comment. I would have talked to him about it to say, listen, if this is what you think, this is not what I'm doing. The reason why I'm hashtagging Mad Canada is because there's people on their websites that are victims, and I want them to know that they're not the only one out there.
Well, it's the only thing that there is to hashtag against drunk driving. It's like, what are you? Else? It's like, how else are you going to get the thing out there? You know?
Yeah.
And like, also, if you can reach more victims by using that hashtag, then in a way you could help to empower other people to speak out about it who haven't spoken and are keeping quiet and living with all of that hurt.
Yeah, like that woman who lost her children. I think about her a lot, and it gives me goosebumps. I just cannot imagine how she is surviving, how she is getting up every morning. The man who just lost his wife and 3 daughters, how can you survive? I think her name is Jennifer, the woman who lost her children. I would love to sit down with her. The first thing she needs to learn to do is to forgive. When you learn to forgive, then you don't have that hurt in your heart, that you can start to move on, you know, make a difference. Use that to your benefit in making a difference. That's all I can say is, let's just make a difference. You know, it's not about charity. It's not about raising money. It's not about likes. It's about raising that awareness and making a difference of people saying, wow, I can't believe you're sharing that story. And it changes people's lives, because they're always going to remember that, you know?
For sure.
So that's what I'm here to do. I feel that that's, you know, what I'm supposed to do. And I'm just going to keep doing it until I know that I've made a change.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I remember like people coming like from MAD, like talking about their stories and stuff, and like that like kind of was like, oh, I will never do this, just because I was like, I don't want to kill someone, or you know, or I don't want to be the reason that someone's life is ruined. So there's something needs to happen where like that kind of a thing affects everyone, because I am very easily like I will listen to something and I'm like, okay, that's not something that I would want to do. But there's a lot of people out there that like that lesson doesn't get through to them right away, especially if they like at that age haven't been through something like that, or I don't know.
My dream is to go to schools and talk about it. And, you know, I've been contacted twice. I've been contacted twice and to talk in the past years, but then they never went through with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is my dream to go to schools to tell my story, to make a change. And I think it's important at high school age because,
Yes.
they're heading off to university and it's
Yes.
a party and you're going to drink. And you know what? Don't get in that car. So if I could go to schools and talk about it, they remember, they're drinking and they go in the car and I pop up in their mind.
Yeah.
Or my story pops up in their mind, or Jennifer's, or anybody's story, Carla's story pops up in their mind and think, no, you know what? I'm not going to. And they call a taxi.
Yeah.
Or call me. I'll come pick you up. I don't care how far you are.
No, it's like it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really not difficult to just not get into the car and have a different route of way to get home.
It's
Especially
such an
these days.
easy
Yeah.
thing to avoid.
Yeah.
Like, it's really infuriating.
Yeah.
Like I would rather get
TTC.
I'd rather get a
TTC.
ticket downtown and having my car parked there versus killing someone.
TTC, if I remember once I was downtown and my friends were driving and I didn't want to get in the car and I had no money for a cab. And I remember telling the TTC driver that my friends were driving and they were drinking and I wanted to get on the bus, but I didn't have money and they just let me on.
Yeah.
Anybody will help you. Anybody. So we have so many resources. Like I know, my boyfriend a few years ago, his friend's dad passed away, so he drove to the funeral and they went to their friend's house in the backyard and they all showed up and he was drinking, and this was in Ajax. He called me and said, can you take a cab up here? And I said, I don't have any money. In there they had a ride share, so what they would do is you would call this number, they would drive over, pick you up in your car. One car would follow your car while the person would drive you home in your car. Drop the car off. You paid them like $20 or $30, and they get into the car that followed you and go home.
Wow, that's amazing.
There's so many resources out there.
Yeah.
So many. And I don't understand. Do we have to raise the driving limit? Do we I just, what is it? Because I'm finding it's younger and younger.
Yeah, I think there might that kind of a rideshare kind of a thing should be a bigger thing. Like it should be talked about more, because I feel like a lot of the times it might be that the person might be afraid to say something or be like, I don't want to be like, oh, Dad, I'm drunk. You know what I mean? Because they might not have been allowed to be drunk or whatever the case may be. But that's also I think a thing that parents and anyone should be talking to their kids, and because it's you want it to be like, hey, if you are ever in trouble, you should be able to trust someone to tell them. And I think that's a big thing, especially with I'm Middle Eastern, so with our culture, if you're in trouble or going through something, you rarely talk about it, and it's that shouldn't be the case. You should be able to freely be like, hey, I did this thing, I know it's stupid, but can you come help me? You know what I mean? Instead of
for sure
getting killed or killing someone. I don't know.
I tell my son all the time, when you're old, when you get older, I don't care. I don't care where you are. I don't care what you've done. Call me. I will always, always be there. I will always come and get you. So, the fact that I've been drilling that in his head for a few years now, I'm hoping, because I always say to him, you just don't ever know. You don't know what's going to happen. Don't take those chances,
Yeah, we have the same strategy, at least when our kids are older, that it's just going to be always come to us.
Always.
Yeah.
It's important. He tells me everything now.
Yeah.
I just always tell him, don't ever hide anything from me. I'll never judge you. I will never be angry with you. I will always be there to help you.
And I think that's super important for kids to learn at a young age.
Yeah, especially with the stresses of growing up in these times.
Yeah.
And the peer pressure. I never let peer pressure get to me growing up.
Yeah.
I caused it for other people, I know that. But I would never force anybody to get into a car where the person had been drinking. But in the 80s, it was everybody did it,
Yeah.
And
nowadays, even now, I know people that are my age that do it.
Yeah.
And I have tried to say something to them and they don't listen, and
Yeah.
it's to the point where I just like refuse to go into a car if they are the person doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've called the police on friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen that they've gotten in the car and drove away. They don't do anything, but at least I know that I've
Did your best.
Doing what
done
you can.
my part, because you
Yeah.
can call 222 tips, and also like now I realized that if you do phone and they have the license plate number, for all they could go to their home. But I don't know how the police deal with it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand the concept of it. I thought they had a specific division that dealt with that, but I don't really know how the authorities deal with it. I know police have been caught drinking and driving themselves. I
Yeah.
know police officers that were on duty that were drinking and driving. So,
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know, but I would love to sit down with some politicians to say, like, let's do this. Let's
Yeah.
change this.
Oh, for sure.
No?
And I think it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people, because of my roommate who is a recovering addict, like there's alcoholism is a really big thing that to this day is still not enough, like talked about enough. And I think that that has a huge part in some of these situations. I feel like, especially with like the cops drinking while they're on the job, like that makes no sense to me. So I think that needs to be talked about more, and like drunk driving needs to like just not happen. There's so many ways to avoid it. Like I just don't understand.
I do agree with you with addiction. Like I had a bad drinking problem at the age of 16. Um, I don't drink very often. I'll have one drink, and you have to stop yourself. But it's an addiction. Like my uncle, he was shift work. He passed away from alcoholism. My grandfather passed away from alcoholism.
Wow.
My other uncle passed away from alcoholism. So it's in our family.
Yeah.
But my uncle, he had such a problem that when he was on shift work, during lunchtime, he had a cooler in the back of his car,
Wow.
and that would be his lunch. And then he would go back to work.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you that addiction is not spoken enough about. It doesn't make them bad people at
No, not
all.
at all.
And I think that's the problem is people point and, automatically say, oh, well, that person's crazy. They're addicted. But,
Right.
I was a bartender for a long time,
Yeah.
and I saw so much addiction.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I never let them do, I always made sure that they weren't driving.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt, that so many people feel they don't have anything in their life, that that's what their life is the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they lose all sense and all judgment when they get intoxicated like that. So I don't know, but I'm determined.
No, and I think that's
100%.
amazing.
And I appreciate all of the support that you guys are giving me. It's incredible.
Oh, of course. Like you don't have to thank us for this. This is
I saw that you were doing this, and I was just like, I want to help you to kind of like spread the word. So hopefully this will get out to a few more people than like
I
you would have
appreciate it.
otherwise reached, because I think
Yeah.
it's such a good cause
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
that like needs to be spoken about.
I agree. I think it's funny because I had just finished a 44-day running challenge, and I thought, I really like this. What can I do? And I was running up north, and all of a sudden my mom popped in my head, and I was like, that's it. For years
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out a way to get the point across with drinking and driving, and I thought, oh, I should join MAD, and every time you have to do an interview, it just wasn't happening for me. And I thought, nothing against Mothers Against Drunk Driving, but I don't want to do something where it's about money.
Right.
It's tough times right now for people. I don't want to ask people for money. That's not what this is about. It's not about money. It's not about this. It's just about awareness.
Yeah.
And that's where it needs to be. I live in an apartment building and I see addiction every day.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I think we just, one, need to let people know that are addicted to drugs and alcohol that it's okay to speak about and get help. But it's the drinking and driving. It's
Mhm.
they just lose all concept. And I think that we really need to get it out there at a young age. I think it's important to get it out there at a young age. I think high school age is the perfect age to start because they start talking about getting their licenses and stuff.
Mhm.
Yep.
So,
I think it might not even hurt to even start at like middle school age, because that would like just get them the
yeah.
lesson even earlier.
Well, I remember being in middle school and having students against drugs, SAD, coming into our school and talking to us about drugs, and they stopped doing that.
Yeah, which
My son is going
Yeah.
into grade 7. He's never been spoken to about that. Why?
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
why
a
are we
lot of
keeping it quiet?
like I think a lot of parents and people out there might think that it's like exposure might make them want to try it more, but I'm like, no, kids are gonna get exposed to it no matter what, and once if they know more about it, and like if they know what they can do that is wrong, it's easier for them to like make smarter decisions.
Yes.
So it needs to be spoken about way more. And I was talking recently to Mel about this. There's a new Disney Channel show that like deals with like homosexuality, depression, and anxiety, and it's like I think it's great for Disney Channel to do that kind of a thing because it's like exposing everyone. Like if a kid is going through something, they don't know what it is, then that kind of helps them realize, oh, that's what it is, and like I can get help
That's
with about it.
incredible.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought it was amazing.
my son's going through that now. Puberty is very tough. I'm
Yes.
learning.
Yeah.
You know, I constantly reassure him that I'm there for him. I'm paranoid about teenage suicide. I
Yeah.
have a lot of friends that committed suicide growing up, and it is one of my biggest fears. One of them. You develop a
Yeah.
lot as you become a parent.
Yeah.
And I just always let them know, you know, I'm here. It's okay to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's okay. I always let them know it's okay to feel that way. Come to me and talk to me.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. I have to look into that. It's about time.
Yeah. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. I think because a couple years ago there was a very tiny scene with someone coming to pick up like their daughter from a play date, and it was two mothers, and everyone freaked out because the Disney Channel did that. I'm like, that was such a small scene. And I think it was a step in the right direction because if someone's growing up with two mothers or two fathers or whatever, it's like they don't get any representation in
Yeah.
Disney Channel. That's like pretty much a lot of kids. That's all they watch. So I think all that stuff is so important.
Oh, I did. I remember the first time, I think my son was about 6, 5 or 6. And there was two men holding hands. And he said, Mom, why are they holding hands? And I said, well, they love each other. Oh, okay. And that was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know, and he
Yeah.
has
It's as
friends who
easy as that.
have two moms, and it's not even a thought.
Right.
And I love it. It makes me smile. It makes me happy to see that he has no reaction towards that. And that is the same thing that my mom said to me in the 80s, which you never saw that. And I remember I asked my mom because these two men, they were holding hands and they kissed each other. And I said to her, Mom, why are they doing that? And she said, well, they probably just love each other. And I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Yeah.
You know, it's something so simple.
Well, I think like
Yeah.
when you're growing up too, like there's lots of things obviously that you're ignorant about that you don't know about, but hate and like racism and homophobia, like, all that stuff, I believe is like taught. It's not like something you're born with that you just
For
hate someone.
sure.
Like you don't. There's all
Yeah.
those photos of like people that are screaming at like the Black Lives Matter protests and at like against it, and there's kids in the car and they're screaming with them. I'm like, you're teaching these kids to be this way and that it's okay for them to be this way. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because they would not have done this unless you taught them to do it. They would have just been like, oh, these are people that are setting up for something. I don't know. It's just messed up to me.
I had words,
Yeah.
you know, the people that hold signs for abortion,
Mm-hmm.
make it illegal and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it was at Woodbine and Kingston Road about a year ago, and there was young kids holding the signs. And I looked at the parents and I said, how dare you?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
dare you allow a child to hold a sign like this that doesn't even understand it?
Yeah.
oh, you don't know. And I would never say anything to them if it was adults.
Yeah.
You have your right to say what you need to say, but when you involve children when they don't have an opinion,
Yeah.
that's not okay. It's not
Mhm.
okay. We
And you're
need to
forming
teach
hate
our
at such a young age.
exactly, and it's becoming more and more again, I'm
Oh, for
noticing,
sure. And
and it
it's like,
terrifies me.
yeah, it's really crazy. Like I also will never understand like racism and with like people of color. Like that makes no sense when someone who is a person of color hates another person of color. I'm just like, whatever. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's
that
a
doesn't make
completely different
sense.
topic. Um, you
That we
mentioned
could
you,
talk for hours
yes.
on.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were a bartender. Mel, I think said you're still a server currently, or
No, I lost my job March 1st.
oh no, because of the
So
pandemic.
Because
yeah, I worked at a bar for
harsh
11
that
years. It was called the Salty Dog, and I'm a cardio kickboxing instructor too. So everything is
Mhm.
on hold right
Yeah.
now. Um, I probably could look for a serving job, but being asthmatic, this virus scares me.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I could ever be a bartender again. A server, yes, but a bartender, no.
Yeah, I was gonna
Mhm.
ask like what like because Mel was saying that she doesn't think she could have been a server or bartender if that kind of a thing had happened to her.
I
Yeah.
felt, to be honest with you, I felt when I did become it, I could stop people
Hmm.
from
Mhm.
drinking and driving. I remember I worked at this awesome restaurant called Chividamo for years, and Deborah,
That's where you were working when I met you.
yeah, Deborah Bennett,
Mhm.
the best woman, most incredible woman in the entire world. She had a strict policy. So if two people came and they had a bottle of wine, and they wanted another bottle, we had to ask them if they were driving. Most of the servers felt uncomfortable about it. I didn't. It
Yeah.
was the way you approached it. One.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I remember this one couple, they said, no, no, we're not driving. And I said, okay, great, sure, I'll bring you another bottle of wine. And I know people's tolerance are different. Some, like, I
Hmm.
can't, one drink and I'm done. So I brought them the other bottle of wine and they were just a lovely couple. They paid their bill. We had two levels, so they were up in the Juliet balconies, and I was downstairs on the patio talking to a customer, and they were leaving. So I said bye, and I heard an alarm go beep beep, and I was like, what? And I looked and I saw them going to their car. So I ran over and I said, excuse me. And they said, yes. And I said, you told me that you weren't driving. And they said, oh, well, we just decided we're okay. And I said, really, I would prefer it if you didn't drive home. I said, here, do you live close? And they said, yeah, we're not too far from here. I said, here's $20. Please take this and take a
Wow.
taxi. And they took the money, right? And they said, okay, thank you so much. And I walked back to the patio and they drove away in a car,
Oh
and I
my
called the
God.
police on them. I told my boss, and she said, phone the police right away. I told them the license plate number and it really made me realize that even the job that I'm doing, I can't get into people's head just by
Hmm.
saying that. If I probably told them my story, they would have thought otherwise. The
Hmm.
fact they took my $20, though, like, come on.
That's just
I worked
rude.
hard for that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they got in their car thinking that they were okay because they didn't have the awareness of making proper judgment at that point.
Yeah.
Because after two drinks, your judgment and awareness become halted.
Cloudy. Yeah.
Remember that commercial where they would put the glasses in front,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it was like that's exactly how it becomes. Your
Yeah.
judgment becomes faded out.
Yeah. We in high school when they like Mad came to talk, they had like drunk goggles that they made us wear, and it's like this is you can't walk, you can't see anything properly. Um,
Yeah,
and like there were people that like in high school that like they shouldn't have been drinking, but they were like, this is literally how I feel when I'm really drunk. And so it's like this is why you shouldn't drive and or
yeah.
do anything stupid like that.
And they don't do
Mhm.
it anymore, which I don't get.
Yeah,
They don't come to schools anymore.
that's really
And
crazy.
it's becoming a big problem again. Like, it's we shouldn't be hearing about this every few weeks, like that somebody's been killed, and a lot of times you don't even hear about it. Accidents are caused. Oh, I wonder how that accident was caused. I heard
Mhm.
that there was recently three teenagers that were in a car accident in Oshawa or something, and somebody passed away. And your first reaction was, were they drinking? Were
Hmm.
they texting? Were they high?
Hmm.
You know, not, oh, well, did they lose control of the car?
Right.
Right away. Were they drinking? It's the first thing that somebody says when they see that. Well, if we're saying that,
There's
why
clearly
are
a
we not,
problem. Yeah.
yeah, why are we not putting it out there? So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. Our government, with Ford and Trudeau and our, Tory, like, they really need to start stepping up, man.
Yeah.
I know that they have a lot on their plate, but they really need to start making a difference here.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
so many issues that need to be changed, and it's like what. It's like I could never be a politician to start off, but it is like what do you start with and how do you make the changes accordingly? Like like what do you give the highest importance to? I feel like
Yeah.
that's a huge thing to like have to
Mm-hmm.
figure out, and I think
And
this is the
with this
biggest one.
whole, I think so too, because it's been an ongoing problem
Yeah,
for decades,
yeah,
and it
Yeah.
does not seem to be getting better. And when I hear a 20-year-old kid, that's where it terrifies me, because
Mm-hmm.
it's starting it all over again. It's starting that process over again. How does that boy's parents feel?
hmm
Did his parents teach him the right thing? What's going on in their heads? Why don't we hear from the people like that? Why don't
Yeah.
we hear from the the person that killed those people or hurt those people? Why don't we hear from their family,
yeah,
their opinion on that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I would have loved to have spoken to David, the gentleman who killed my mom. I would love to know how. I know his parents came to the funeral, I heard, and I know that they were big fans of my mom. But why did we never hear from them?
hmm
Why did they never let us know?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't why wasn't he the one to call and apologize? Why did it have to
right.
be my sister and I?
To forgive
You
him.
know,
Yeah.
like, I just don't get it. And people are saying that Manuzzo guy doesn't feel bad for what he did. Well, have you spoken to him? Have you asked him?
Right.
Have you thought of a way that we can rehabilitate him instead of just putting him in jail and making him a statistic too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if we show the people that were the ones that killed them and had them speak, then they could realize and change it. I don't know. There's just so many different things. What ifs? What can we do?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
your mom's boyfriend, David, you said his name? Were they together for a long time? Like was he kind of like a stepdad or was that like a new thing?
No, they had been together, I think, for maybe a few years. He was a big part. Like, he was there.
hmm
Of what I don't really remember much, but I know he had a young son
hmm
that my mom adored. But my sister said that they were breaking up, but I don't know. No one tells me anything. I was young. I was 12. I was, a child. My sister was 14. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Everyone hid everything from me growing up. I was the emotional kid attached to my mom's hip. I never wanted to be
Yeah.
away from her. So, and I remember actually about a week before she was killed. She was killed 2.5 weeks after her birthday. We were in the car and we were talking about funerals for some reason. And I said jokingly, well, I hope the first funeral I go to isn't yours.
Oh.
And
Oh
it was
man.
Oh my God.
the
Oh.
first funeral. Yeah.
Um. And have you said you haven't spoken to him ever since? Like ever since the
No,
incident?
I would love to, because I want him to know that it didn't make us, it, that it still made me a good person.
Yeah.
I grew up as a good person. I would like him to know that, you know, I,
Yeah.
I would like to
It
know that,
didn't break you.
yeah, I may be one of the few people in the whole wide world, but I just want him to know that we were okay.
Right.
I don't want him to live in that jail anymore. I probably one of the
Mm-hmm.
few people in this world that just can forgive people.
Makes
I
a
think,
lot of sense to me.
yeah, you have
I
to though. Like,
understand.
I think,
Yeah.
you know, I would love to see him again, but I have no idea where he is. I would like to see his son. He's grown up, and just to say, hey, it's okay. What you did was wrong, and what you did was not okay, but we're okay now.
Yeah.
You know, you still cry every day, and you still have that feeling in your heart of the pain, but you know, I'm okay. I survived, and I'm a survivor, and everyone else will be a survivor. You know, sorry, I had to put my phone. I did want to end my life though when I was young. I tried to, but
Yeah, that must have been so difficult. I can't imagine having to deal with that.
yeah, I wrote in a diary for a long time. I remember I took a lot of pills, but they just made me fall asleep, and I woke up, you know, and I thought, like, I just thought if I, you know, at a young age, I thought if I just slept for a little bit, I could see her, you know,
Right.
or you think because back in those days it was all closed caskets, so you think to yourself, maybe she didn't die, maybe I was just really bad, and she just went away because she couldn't do it anymore.
Oh.
You know, you walk around the corner and you think you see her, and you know, for years that went on, and I think open caskets are important because it gives you closure.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get that, and I think that was a big part of it, you know, and I had to learn to become a woman on my own.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody to teach me how to shave my legs or buy a bra, you know, like you had to, all of a sudden it's like I'm an adult.
Right.
At 12 years old, your childhood is gone.
When you're going through puberty and it's like no one there to like help you guide you through that.
My sister taught me. My sister shaved my legs for me for the first year, and she taught me. I don't like. I am so lucky that I had my sister. I couldn't imagine. I wouldn't have been able to do that
By yourself.
I would have not survived. My sister, though, like in one of my posts, I remember being at my grandparents' house, and it was probably the second or third day, and wondering, why isn't my sister crying anymore? You know, like I remember seeing her when I was coming down the stairs and I was crying and she hugged me. And I just thinking, why isn't she crying? You know, and I realized she had to be my adult.
Oh my
She
God.
took over and was like, okay, I have to be the parent now to my little sister. And we developed such a strong, incredible bond. I remember when we got kicked out of my aunt's house and we had to go back to get some stuff, and Bob Marley, Everything's Gonna Be All Right, was our song. And I remember going and packing my Michael Jordan sleeping bag and leaving, you know, at 15. But my sister was just always there for me, always. And she's an incredible human being, and she's raising 4 incredible children. But I can't imagine somebody on their own going through this, like that husband who lost his family. I can't even imagine how he's waking up in the morning.
And I'm sure there's many kids out there that are still like that have gone through that at a young age, and we haven't heard about them because it's not talked about enough.
Yep. Like it was crazy. I had a incredible surreal moment the other day. We have a cottage that we've rented for the season up north, and I was kayaking. I said to my boyfriend, I have to go. It was on July 1st, and I went for a 3-hour kayak, and I saw a loon, and I was feeling so down that day, man. And I saw a loon, and that moment I was like, man, if I could just see my mom one more time, just one more time, you know. And in my head, I said to the loon, I'm a very spiritual person to a point, and I said to the loon, if you come to me, that means I can see her one more time. You know, I promise I won't take a picture. Just come to me. Excuse me. And in less than 5 minutes, that loon popped up next to my kayak, looked right at me, turned around, looked back, and went in the water. And I felt just this surreal comfort that moment. And I knew it was her. And I knew that I was doing the right thing. And that's when I really have pushed this, because I knew that was her telling me, you're okay, you're doing it, and I'm proud, you know. And I knew it was her. And I bawled my eyes out. I'm in a kayak in the middle of nowhere, bawling my eyes out, like, but not in a sad way, in just a way that is like, I can't believe this just happened to me. Like, and nobody's here to see this.
Yeah.
But it was just, it was such an incredible moment of my life, man. And I'll just never, ever, ever forget that moment. And I know that she's here and she surrounds me. And they say, like, if you lost somebody before your baby's born, that person gets to kiss them and hug them before they come to earth.
Oh.
And
Mhm.
I'm a big believer in that. You know, and I know
Yeah.
my mom used to come to my son when he was young,
Mhm.
because one day I had a picture and he pointed and said, "Mommy, Grandma Susan."
Oh.
So
Wow.
yeah, so I know that she's seen him and been with him, and I talk
Wow.
about her. I don't remember much about my mom. I don't know if the memories I have for her are made up or what,
Right.
but I just remember her
They're what you have,
being
so.
an incredible human.
Wow.
Just, she was the mom to all our friends. You know, I would come home from sports and walk into our house, and all my friends are sitting at the table with my mom, and we were poor, and she had a bucket of chicken on the table feeding all my friends. You know, the guys on her birthday showed up with a card. You know, so she made an imprint on a lot of people's lives. Even though I only got 12 years with her, I always say to people, at least I got 12 years.
Yeah.
Some don't even get that.
Yeah.
So
What,
it's tough.
you mentioned your sister, and you said you had 3 of your best friends with you when you found out. Are you guys still really close, all 3 of you?
I have not seen them probably in 30 years, but we talk on a regular basis.
Mhm.
My one friend, Tara Coho, she just is such an incredible human, man. Like, we lost contact for a while,
Mhm.
and she had some issues that she had to deal with, addiction issues. And now she's just an awesome person, and she's been my best friend, God, for over 30 years.
Wow.
So I think the world of her. I think the world of her family. She I never realized, and maybe I was selfish in not realizing the impact that it made on those 3 girls' lives.
Yeah.
You don't realize, because you are selfish at that moment.
Well, I think you deserve to be.
Yeah, but
100%. Yeah.
you know, it's hard because we have all will share that bond for the rest of
Mhm.
our lives, you know.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them. They're back in Windsor. It's hard for me to go back there, because there's too many memories, but I do want to go there and see them, meet their children, and, you know,
Yeah.
just be a part of their lives. But thank goodness for social media,
Yes.
Mhm.
It's one of
because
the
we talk.
many pros of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I hate it, I
Yeah.
actually love it.
I know, it's
Um,
great.
yeah. So, yeah, I remain in contact with them. You know, they have great memories of my mom that they remember, and I don't. So I love it, because they're the very few that will talk about her. My family doesn't talk about my mom.
Oh.
No one talks about her at all. So no
Mhm.
one. They even tell me that they can't look at my posts on Facebook because it's too hard and brings back too many memories. Which I said, that's fine, but I have to. It's very
Yeah.
tough to relive it, but I have to do it, because I think it's the only way that you can get the point across, is knowing day by day for the 38 days, that she, you know, that I'm doing, and I'll talk about it, because I think it's important,
Mhm.
to relive so you
Definitely.
can
Yeah.
release, you know. And I think that we've held it in for so long, and I need to let it out.
Yeah.
So this is the way to let it out.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, do you think you would want to do this
That's
every year
amazing.
from now on?
Yep. I'm not gonna stop. After this, I'm gonna do something else,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I won't stop. I will run until I'm dead
Yeah.
to raise awareness for this. I won't stop doing what I'm doing. You know, after these 38 days, I'm going to do another run towards it again, but it'll be something else, you
Yeah.
know. but I'm not going to stop. I think that this has really opened people's eyes,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
reaction that I'm getting from people, it actually makes me smile for once, and kind of fills my heart, that hole that never got filled. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to make a change.
Yes, I agree.
I think
It's
so.
amazing and so courageous and
Thank you.
selfless to have to do all this.
It's
Yeah.
I think I it's funny because for a really long time I said to people, I think I'm put on this earth to make a change, and I
Yeah.
never knew what it was, and I think now I know what it is, and I think I need to do this, and I'm not going to stop,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
that's amazing.
I really
Yeah.
not going to stop. But it's never ever ever going to be about raising money, never, to me, because that's not
Raising
Mhm.
what it's about.
awareness.
I know that some people that have reposted my posts have put out donations for MAD. It's great if people want to, but that's not what this is about for
Yeah.
me. And it's not about likes, and it's not about, um, getting my picture out there and, getting on the news or getting on this. It's about changing one person's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can change one person's life, then you've done
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
And
But I
that's
also
what,
don't think that you should feel guilty or weird if like you do get likes or get on the news or whatever, because I think that that just gives it more exposure and more people will see it. Um,
yeah. Yeah,
so
I know my story. I just found out yesterday it was put on the news desk at City TV. I don't know if they'll pick it up, but fingers crossed.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
I hope.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. The more people that you can get talking
Yeah.
about it and just like to understand, I guess, where it is that you are coming from and why this is important to you, like with your story.
Yeah.
Because I
yeah,
think that that's what people haven't been speaking about.
Hmm.
Everyone keeps quiet about the hard stuff.
yeah,
So, like, I don't know if I have ever really been exposed to somebody's story as drinking and driving
Hmm.
and like losing somebody. I don't know if I've ever heard another story other than the woman who lost her 3 children and
oh,
father.
yeah.
Yeah, like
But
I
even
think
like, I think like with her, I would love to know how she's doing, and I would love to talk to her, and I would love to sit in a room with people who drinking and driving have impacted, to let them know you can smile,
Hmm.
you can live, you can go on with your life. I can't imagine losing a child. Um,
yeah.
my best friend lost her son, uh, 5 years ago. He was 9. He was killed, and not by a drunk driver, but by his stupid drunk ass father who let him go on an ATV.
Oh,
Um,
Oh my god.
so I, I know what she goes through, but I can't imagine like my aunt, my mother's sister, losing her sister, and my nana losing her daughter, and having to bury your own child because of a senseless act that could have been controlled.
yeah.
So I think that people do need to start putting their stories out, and not just
Yes.
saying, "Oh, I'm the victim of drunk driving," and that's it.
Hmm.
Don't hold it in, let it out.
Yeah.
Speak your mind, speak it, because people are speaking for that woman that lost her children. All the time they're speaking for her, and I think she needs to start speaking more too. you know I just can't. I would just love to hug her, just to
Yeah.
say it's going to be okay. I just can't even imagine. Can't even. Like, I lost my mother, but I can't. I put myself in the positions of everybody that has lost somebody, and I just, to drinking and driving, and I just think like, this just shouldn't happen. Like, 3 children should have not lost their lives because he's a rich guy and gets to party.
Oh my
But
God.
again, the people that did do it, um, they have to live in their own jail for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing and getting the word out, and
Yep.
hopefully make some changes.
Yes. And we're gonna keep posting about it as well as much as we can.
I really
Yes.
appreciate it. I
Of
really
course.
do. I really do. Like I just every morning when I wake up and I go for my run and then I post my posts and I have a few minutes of I gotta take a deep breath and I'm doing this for the right reasons
Hmm.
and then when I see all these people sharing the posts or commenting on them and I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't want
Yeah.
I remember there's at the wake and I remember sitting on a couch and two of my school teachers were sitting next to me. And I remember people coming up to me saying, I'm so sorry. And I just kept saying, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then I remember looking at my teacher, Ms. Pilon, and saying, why do people keep saying I'm sorry? Why are they sorry? I couldn't understand why they're sorry. I'm 12 years old, I can't comprehend it. And she just said to me, sweetheart, they're just feeling sad for you. And I said, I don't want people to feel sad for me.
Right.
I didn't want that. I didn't want the people whispering and talking about us, and it made me angry. I understand now why they did it. I understand. I try not to say sorry when people lose somebody, but it's a hard thing
Hmm.
to, you know.
Yeah.
I always just say I hope you can find peace in your heart. That's my saying,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what you need. Is you
Yeah.
need, like, I'm sure, Melissa, when your dad passed, you had to find that. You had to find that peace in your heart again, knowing
Oh
I'm a
yeah.
big believer that we'll see them again. You know, um, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but I do believe that we will
Mm-hmm.
see them again, 100%.
Yeah.
And for 8 years after my mom died, we lost a family member every year in the summer.
Wow.
It became like after my mom died, my uncle died a year later, then my great grandmother died, then my grandfather died. Then I had a
Mm-hmm.
friend who committed suicide. I had another friend that
Oh my
committed
God.
suicide. It was like 8 years. It was the summertime
Okay.
came and you were like, oh God, you weren't excited, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it makes you a stronger human.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
The crappy stuff usually does make you strong.
It truly
Yes.
does.
It's true.
It truly does. And uh, I think that we need to be strong and be happy
Yeah.
and show people that you can still smile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
Oh
what you
yeah.
got to do. You got to keep going. It's been
Yes.
32 years, and I'm sure when the anniversary of your dad's death comes around, that week is really tough, and it's the buildup of that week. You don't realize
Mm-hmm.
it, and then all of a sudden you're like, why am I feeling so down and irritated and irritable? And you realize, oh, okay, this is why. It's your subconscious, but you just gotta
Yeah.
live their memories and smile. You know?
Mm-hmm. No, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's I think that what you're doing is really great, and like I think that she would be so proud that you have taken such a horrible tragedy and turned it into something great, and
Hmm.
in a way given her life and death meaning through
Hmm.
doing this, and
Yeah.
like your own as well.
Thank you. I want her memory to live. Susan Bones was an amazing woman. She was kind, caring. She just happy, like just an amazing, beautiful, strong woman. Who raised two children on her own and never asked for a penny. And I want that memory of her to live on. That even though she's not here in form, she's still here in spirit, and I know that she would want me to make a change. I know it.
Hmm.
So it took me 32 years to figure it out, but geez, man, I'm really
Mhm.
aging myself. But I think as we get older, it gets harder to deal with, and having children ourselves, you want to stop that cycle.
Yeah.
I want my son to grow up knowing his friends and being with his friends forever, and not having to go to another funeral um, of a friend, that lost their life from stupidity. And I know, unfortunately, it's probably going to happen. And I think that that's where I need to start making a change.
Yes. And I think, like we mentioned earlier too, like it's just all the quote unquote taboo things that we don't talk about need to be spoken about more, because it's just part of life, and there's no point in hiding it, because then the kids and like adults even that go through it don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's when suicide and depression
gets worse.
And like back then, you never talked about PTSD.
Right.
And we're all victims of PTSD, and I have fears every time I get into a car. But I have to get into that car. I have to drive that car. I have to leave my son at times. My son has to go on his own. I have a massive fear of death. It developed actually before my mom died, but it's scary, but you can't change the inevitable. And I think that there's a plan for all.
Oh, sorry, you went mute. I think your mic turned off.
Sorry, my son was calling me.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, so I think we have to change the cycle, and I think that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, and I totally, like, in a very different way. I last year I got into a car crash, not because of anything related to alcohol, but I, like, to this day, like, will still, like, be scared sometimes to get into the car, especially if it's like even raining a little bit, or if it's like kind of bad weather, because it wasn't the rain that had happened. I just lost control of the car. So I can't imagine like losing someone like that, and then like being afraid or nervous to get into a car because of that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got into a car accident. I think about over 15 years ago, and whoa, that was intense, man. Because I was rushed to the hospital, but it was like that instant. It was like my mom's memory flashed in my head, realizing, thank goodness she didn't suffer. Her heart, the seatbelt broke her bone and it pierced her heart, so she died instantly. So she had no idea what even happened. But being in that car accident, man, yeah, it really does. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to get back into the car and drive. I wasn't driving, but it's scary and it's fearful. And I was injured for 2 years, but you got to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
Or, you're just not going to survive.
Yeah, you can't just like live your whole life in fear of,
Yeah.
Then what is the life?
We'd be hibernating in our rooms and not leaving.
Exactly.
Which we had to do for 3 months, basically.
Yeah, I know. I head back up north tomorrow, so.
Any other questions that we had that we needed to ask Mel? Or we wanted to ask?
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah,
and like,
awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and for being so open and talking about
everything. Very well. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you and talk to you guys soon again.
Yes, I hope to meet you in person soon.
Yes, I would love that.
Thank you so much once again for this.
You.
Hopefully we get the word out to a few other people. And
fingers crossed. So much. Thank you guys. You take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.